Well, Tulas, there was a wreath laying ceremony here, but also there was a prayer in front of the Tutu house. This is in Vilakazi Street, the famous street that everyone would know, particularly tourists. But Tulas, yes, right at this moment, that particular program has come to an end. Many people, including the executive mayor of the city of Johannesburg, was here. She, in fact, is the one that had paid a moving tribute. She is behind us. We've been keeping her for quite some time, Tulas. And maybe if I can ask from one of the staff from the office of the mayor if it's possible to speak to her about some of the things that she said, of course, on this particular event. Executive Mayor, thank you so much for joining us. I must say we apologize for keeping you longer than you were supposed to be here, but equally so, we thank you for indulging with us with your time. You paid a moving tribute, if I may say so myself, to the Archbishop Desmond Tutu, but some of the pickings from your tribute was the fact that you said that the current setting of the council in Johannesburg, the multi-party setting, is something that you view as something that the diversity in Tutu would have wanted. Just take us through that in terms of what you said about that setting.
Well, we all went into elections as political parties looking for one thing. We all wanted a 50% plus one majority so we could have free rein to implement our policies that we believe in. But the voters had a different idea. We did not have an outright winner. We had only 26% of the vote as the second highest in the council. We've got 18 different political parties currently in the Joburg Council as opposed to 11 in 2016. So democracy is maturing here in Johannesburg, and we have been forced by those circumstances to reach out to other political parties to form a majority coalition government that will be stable and that will take the city forward. What that means is that most constituencies of the city are represented around decision-making tables, and it means that there is a true diversity in everything that we do, in our outlook, in our ideology, in our policies. We're really representative of the different types of people in our city.
And you are speaking about this, saying that it is something that Tutu would have appreciated, to say that people are now starting to diversify even beyond color, but also political party systems. But let's also touch on something that was quite concerning, the issue of saying that the will of Obabu Desmond Tutu, the Archbishop, would have been to be have a final send-off here in Johannesburg at the St. Mary's Cathedral Church. Unfortunately, the Bishop had told us that the reason why it didn't happen like this was because of the lack of cleanliness around that particular precinct where the church is. But just speak to us about what this touches on and what this touches on broader in terms of the cleanliness of the city.
A very sad state of affairs indeed. We would have loved to have his send-off here in Johannesburg. This is where he spent many years fighting apartheid from that pulpit at the St. Mary's Cathedral. His social and political activism, most of it was based right here in Johannesburg and here in Soweto where he lived. But yes, we lost the opportunity to the city of Cape Town because of the filth in the city of Johannesburg. We've had many administrations in the city who have tried to turn the inner city around. None have been able to truly transform the inner city, and I'm hoping that myself and the team of 10 MMCs that I have currently will finally be able to get it right. It is not easy, it's complex, it requires strategy, it requires transversal management, many departments and many entities working together, but we need to firstly understand the root cause of the problem, which I believe that we do now, and then we will be able to get it right.
And just as a last one from myself, I want to touch on something that might be quite personal, but fortunately you have shared with us when you were speaking there on the podium. You spoke about the issue that earlier on you had the privilege to actually go into a place of prayer where Obabu Tutu would have normally conducted his normal prayer, but you said that this to you was a moment to reflect on the type of leader you want to be, but also on the type of leaders that would have been before you, like the likes of the Archbishop. But just talk to us about that and just very briefly give us a sense of what that meant.
Well, it was a personal moment for me. I didn't go in there as the mayor. I went in there as a leader who was myself commissioned by the church into my leadership role. And just realizing how much he invested spiritually in who he was on the outside challenged me personally. Just hearing how daily, before he started his day, he went into that chapel, and just sensing the atmosphere that's still there, still lingering today day, you can see the years of labor in prayer, in tears for this nation and for Africa. I was personally challenged to really go back to my own personal prayer altar and continue to labor for this country. I share his passion and his love for this country and his hope that it can be a much better country. And yes, that was a sacred moment, and I'm so grateful for it.
Thank you so much, Mayor, for your time. That is the Executive Mayor of the City of Johannesburg, Mpho Phalatse. Mayor, you may go. We've been holding you for quite some time, but just giving us a sense of what today meant. More than anything, Tulas, what is important, I think, for me, is that the Bishop of the Johannesburg, that is Babu Stephen Morero, shared with us today that Bab Tutu would have wanted to have been ushered into his final resting place from the St. Mary's Cathedral Church here in Johannesburg. But unfortunately, they said after one visit, he came there and went around the precinct and said that that place was too dirty for him to be actually ushered from there. So that is one thing that the Mayor of Johannesburg was addressing, to say that it is a challenge that is ongoing for the City of Johannesburg. But more than anything, sharing what this day has meant in terms of self-reflection as a leader of the City of Johannesburg, looking of course at the leaders that have since passed, the likes of Nelson Mandela and today the Archbishop Desmond Tutu.